Updating our rain and snow totals from our latest storm and another one in store for the 3-day weekend. I'm ABC 10 Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods, and it has been quite the active week for us, especially later in the week. The latest storm system now just pulling out of the Sierra after dropping feet of snow. We are tracking another weather system in the Pacific, but we get a nice little break here. We'll continue these extended forecasts on ABC 10 Plus. We also have our complete weather playlist there with explainers, weather, and climate specials. Make sure you download it wherever you stream on TV. All right, let's get to it. A look in the high country. This is a big weekend for folks heading up the hill, getting in on all that fresh powder. We saw, again, feet of snow in the Sierra. It was dangerous travel yesterday getting up into the high country, but now folks can really enjoy the skiing and snowboarding and all that Tahoe has to offer over the 3-day weekend. In the valley, things are starting to dry out as well. Last night at this time, we were looking at Applegate where they were pulling over trucks saying can't go over the summit because it was just too dangerous with multiple spinouts. We still have a flood warning in effect for parts of the valley along the Sacramento River. Weirs are flowing, so basically the water is flowing freely into areas that are designed to hold that excess water. It takes the pressure off of downstream areas, more populated areas, including downtown Sacramento. But again, use caution by the river if you're enjoying some of the dry weather for tomorrow, perhaps on the bike trail or the hiking around the river. It is flowing fast and high right now. River stages throughout the Central Valley. We've got a couple above minor flood stage along the Sacramento River. We're not expecting the Sacramento Weir to open because the American River really hasn't seen the higher flows as has the Sacramento River. We are seeing some releases from Shasta, so that's aiding in bringing up a little bit those water levels. Yellow bypass near Lisbon, we're expecting that to see its crest and then slowly recede into early next week. The yellow bypass, by the way, is the water that flows underneath I-80 as you're heading in and out of Sacramento towards the Bay Area. So you might see some water in that bypass area, at least for the next several days. As far as our precipitation since midnight, it was really coming down yesterday on our Thursday into the early morning hours. So we did add a little bit of precipitation for the Central Valley. For the foothills, upwards of 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch of rain since midnight. Things clearing out for tonight, leading to a mix of sun and clouds for our Saturday. We'll see some patchy fog, especially throughout the southern Sacramento and northern San Joaquin Valley. It clears out rather quickly, and it's going to be replaced by the cloud cover. A steady line of showers moving through early Sunday, but it's going to be a real quick mover. We'll see additional snowfall for the Sierra as this weather system starts to press our way from the Pacific. Now, the bulk of this is going to head into the Pacific Northwest. We'll be brushed with the weaker tail end of it for the middle of our 3-day weekend. So for Valentine's Day, snow coming to an end for the Sierra. Saturday, we see the patchy morning fog, then partly sunny skies. Sunday, morning showers with our snow level about 6,500 to 7,000 feet. President's Day, we're right back to the partly sunny skies. Here's a look at the fog that I mentioned. You can see it's most problematic in the northern San Joaquin Valley and parts of the southern Sacramento Valley. It's going to hang with us through about 7 a.m. on Saturday and then clear out of here, again, replaced by the cloudy skies with the approaching weather system, which is not going to be a big impact player for us. Beyond that, we get right back at it on Wednesday with a weak weather wave moving through. Not a lot of additional accumulation expected with that, but it's still pretty far out, so we'll watch that for the potential of next week's showers. As far as our Sunday forecast, you can see some of those showers impacting the valley, the foothills, and the Sierra. Quick mover, doesn't hang with us too long here, and then most of the showers will hang in the Pacific Northwest. Here's the next weather system on the move by late Tuesday through Wednesday, but this high pressure ridge is one to watch. It's sinking, warming air, and it looks like that's going to be the bigger player in the forecast. In fact, we're calling for a drier and warmer than average outlook for the long range outlook into February. Rain totals from the latest weather system. Just look at the rundown here. Placerville with over 3.5 inches of rain. Parts of the foothills, including Folsom, almost 2 inches of rain, over 1.5 inches for Auburn, over 1.5 inches for Roseville, nearly that for Elk Grove with 1.5 inches of rain. About 1 inch to almost 1.5 inches for Stockton, downtown Sacramento, Sacramento Executive, Marysville, and Modesto. Nice to see Stockton and Modesto popping up there as well, especially after some early season weather systems kind of dodged the San Joaquin Valley, finally getting in on some of the central Valley locations there with precipitation totals. Snow totals have been impressive. Now, this is as of 8 a.m. Friday when the ski resorts report. Keep in mind, it continued to snow through our Friday, so these numbers will go up into our Saturday. We saw about 1 to 5 feet of snow pretty regularly throughout the Sierra by the time we get into our Friday evening. But early this morning, it was 1 to 4 feet of solid snowfall from this latest weather system. Nice to see that in February, too. Statewide precipitation. Now, this is since the beginning of the water year, which began last year on October 1st. And is, in terms of sheer numbers, at least we're starting to see some numbers pop up here for Southern California. Still seeing those deficits grow, but this is much better than where we were in January when we had those big fires in the LA area. As far as Northern California, continuing to benefit from basically the path of these weather systems have been favoring areas right along I-80 and points northward, which is a very La Nina type of forecast here, which we are in that weaker La Nina. But nice to see those numbers coming up because Sacramento and San Francisco were starting to show some deficits after a very dry January. Precipitation tracker just for this month alone, we are over 2 inches ahead of where we normally are for the month. Normally we have about 1.75 inches. This month, we've had over 4 inches of rain. So February has definitely helped to catch us up from a dry January. You can see the days that we saw some significant rainfall, that being yesterday on the 13th, as well as on the 4th of February. That really helped to boost those precipitation numbers for the month of February and really for the water year as well. This is turning out to be the wettest month of the water year. It will likely go down as that as we add just a little bit more precipitation on Sunday and again next Wednesday. After that, things really start to dry out. March and April tend to be a little bit drier, but they certainly could be wet months as well. Our average monthly rainfall, you can see, starts to wind down by the end of February. But again, March can still be a wet month here with almost 3 inches of rain historically. By April, things are starting to really dry out as high pressure usually starts to take over right about that point, and it keeps those storms moving well north of us, and then we head into the dry part of the year. That's at the point where we start to draw more on our reservoir supplies and our water storage in the dry months. Part of that is reliant on this year's snowpack melting, and currently we're at about 55 to over 100% of average. The Northern Sierra totaling average to date 112%. That's where our biggest reservoir sits. So as we head towards that April 1st date, when we start to see more in the way of snow melt and less in the way of snowfall, that's when we'll keep an eye on those rising reservoir numbers. I will say, though, things are looking very good for our reservoirs. As you can see, Shasta, our biggest reservoir, saw some big increases here in February. They are starting to release water, and that's put a little bit of extra pressure on the Sacramento River because the Shasta Reservoir is the head water of the Sacramento River. So right now, still looking very good. This is teal shade right here is our average, and we're well above average. Folsom also above average. It's a smaller reservoir, but feeds a big part of the metropolitan area for Sacramento. So that has to be kept a little bit lower just because it can't hold as much water, and we still have the snow melt season to go yet. Oroville, a big player here for the State Water Project, and you can see currently we're above average. A little bit of releases going on there. It's a big reservoir, can hold a lot of water. As far as our departure from normal, we are looking at a slightly warmer weather pattern playing into next week. We've been under this cooler air mass, which has kept that snow level pretty favorable here for many of the ski resorts, seeing that snow line about 6,000 feet to 6,500 feet yesterday. But a likely warmer than average outlook. to take us through the end of February, and a likely drier one as well throughout the entire state. As I mentioned, the next storm path favoring the Pacific Northwest here through Washington and at least northern Oregon. A long-range look at the forecast, a quick mover on Sunday. It's kind of out of here by noon, and then we'll see that next wave move through on Wednesday. Outside of that, it really doesn't appear that we're going to see much in the way of wet weather through the end of the month as that storm track really starts to become more amplified to the north into the Pacific Northwest and even beyond that into British Columbia. Highs in the 40s tomorrow for the Sierra with 50s down the hill. We hit highs in the 50s and 60s across the coast, and a nice start to that 3-day weekend with morning lows a little frosty with some patchy fog in the 30s through the valley with highs around 60. 5-day forecast, we have that opportunity for showers coming in on Sunday. We'll track that chance of showers on next Wednesday. It's a little far out there, so we'll just monitor that for the potential for more showers coming in to our long-range forecast. The chance of showers on Sunday for our 3-day weekend, and then again next Wednesday. Outside of that, we're looking at drying and much warmer weather ahead.